Hey, this is Jason J. Lewis, Superman from Justice League Action, and you're watching SuperWonder Legacy. Hey, this is Jason J. Lewis, Superman from Justice League Action, and you're watching SuperWonder Legacy.
You're strong.
I know.
Are you a sight for sore eyes?
It's nice to have someone who likes you for being you.
It's okay. I've got you now.
Just like in the movies.
Welcome to SuperWonder Legacy. I am Jared. I am here with Britt. What's up, Britt?
Hello, hello.
And today we are first off, happy holidays, everyone. And today we are checking out, we're grading DC on how they performed in 2025. And then we are going to be answering all of your questions that relate to Superman and Wonder Woman. So here we go. Let's get this crazy train started. I'm trying to get my PowerPoint to come up. It's always something, Britt. It's always something. All right, but first, there's something that I kind of want to show off. So you know how statue of Superman and Wonder Woman that was from the New 52, but is ridiculously hard to find for a decent price?
Yeah, that costs an arm, leg, a kidney, a liver, and probably a brain.
Well, I have it now.
Oh my God, it's glorious.
It's finally here. Like, look at that.
DC, you're just wasting money and opportunity because you can have a whole line of the statues, especially with the different covers, with especially
Super Doomed could be cool.
that one would be good. I was thinking Adam Hughes.
Oh yeah.
Wonder Woman 141 cover would be spectacular.
And before you guys ask, Jared, how the hell did you find that for a decent price? My lovely assistant right here. So, thank you, Britt.
Oh, you're welcome.
So let's get started. Fun topics here. So, all right. The way this is organized, we're going to do comics, then movies, then we're going to talk about some Britt. I'll split the money with you if you get that statue and sell it. Oh my God. Everyone wants my statue now, Britt. Hey, what's up, NJ? So let's get started. Let's talk about how DC has performed with Superman, Wonder Woman, and then we'll be reviewing certain comics. Trust me. So let's start with the comics. So here's the thing. In terms of how the comics have done, I would say it's hyper dependent on what character you're talking about. Because if you're talking about Batman, Green Lantern, and all that stuff, it's pretty good. Superman, some things pretty good, some things stale. Wonder Woman, outside of Absolute, has been utter dog doo-doo.
That's an understatement.
Oh yeah, and trust me, we'll get to that. But yeah, so Britt, so what else? So your estimation of DC Comics.
All right. So yeah, so we're gonna start off, I guess, with the main line. And yeah, it's been stagnant. The only thing that, is, well, that's what I forgot. The report from I think the Hollywood Report was saying that DC has sold over 8 million copies of comics, but
Absolute
35%
books.
is Absolute books. Absolute Batman has the first issue, 10 reprints. And not only that, but that I don't even think that includes the billions of variant covers. You also have the relaunch of Batman, so, and that had I think someone tweeted out that the first issue of the new Batman run actually had like 75 variant covers.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm like,
Yeah. So it's I mean, in some way that's kind of flooding the market to say that it's selling and it could be the collectors, and then you can say that it is selling out because the Absolute line is, you know, just dog walking the main line. The main line, and you also have KO. But yeah,
yeah.
everything else
Which
is
which with KO, that's only I'm convinced that's only selling as well. Like let me put it this way, could it be selling as well partly due to hype? Sure, but I'm convinced that a major part of why that thing is selling well is because of that in at least the first issue, the blind bags. I don't think they're doing the blind bags for everything else afterwards though.
but also the incentive that this was going to be the crossover of the main line and the Absolute characters. So
That is
that is really the selling point of KO.
so,
But the
Britt. How do you feel that Absolute Wonder Woman was the top selling book this week?
I mean, you had Batman in it, so
But it's
it's.
also Absolute Wonder Woman. This is the one book where I'm like, it's Absolute
Oh,
Wonder Woman.
I mean, kind of by default. So
All right. You're not going to give DC any credit, are you? Man, tough crowd.
hell no.
I love the hell no. Yeah. But I mean, the other thing about this is, and actually, Bray, you're not alone because I was watching one of my favorite commentary channels on comics, Thinking Critical, and one of the things that he said is, look, the thing about about what a reason why the Absolute books are like destroying the mainline books is also because the mainline book storytelling has gotten very stale and they repeat the same thing over and over again, at least from a general audience perspective. So when you see this new thing that looks completely new, you're like, oh wow, that's interesting. So you check that out because now it really like varies from store to store, but from what but I've heard that a lot of people aren't like moving from the Absolute line to the main line. Well, like they're staying with the Absolute books.
Well, I mean, no shit, Sherlock. We, like knew that from jump. And that's what we've been
Exactly.
saying, um, even with the new 52 of why they rebooted in the first place. And for some fans to say, oh, they could have had new 52 and post crisis, no, because now we see with Absolute and trying to have a main line, it's torpedoing it. So, no, you financially, you had to be sure that not only that, but this is an alternate universe too.
Mm-hmm.
So if your alternate universe is acting kind of like your main line and then your main line is left in the dust, that does say a lot about the storytelling, the writing, the art, and everything like that. That means you don't care. You're just very content, with the stagnation. You're trying to stay in this comfort zone of this very stale status quo. That, again, obviously is why you rebooted in the first place. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly. And weren't you telling me that like sales are relative or at or near the pre-new like immediately pre-reboot level?
it is. We don't have a the definitive numbers as we once did, before COVID.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, DC hasn't let it be known about their sales in a long time. This is actually the first time they've said something about their sales, and it's it's only within that article was praising the Absolute, and that says a lot. Yeah, mainline was mentioned, kind of like a let's throw them a bone type thing, but it wasn't the true reassuring thing for DC. And that does kind of paint a false picture and a little bit of smoke and mirrors But yeah, we've already known this and been saying this since we started this show. Um, and it feels like DC is continuing on with the smoke and mirrors to try not to have a reboot that they desperately need. Um, I mean, if you didn't need a reboot, yeah, they still have the status quo, but just giving number ones like they did Batman, and it's obvious that um, with the level up uh, initiative in March,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
have to
Yeah, go ahead.
the fact that you had to well, he isn't ki I'll put killed off in quotes,
Hmm.
but kill off Superman and then replace him again with this time Superboy Prime, and then have a storyline called Reign of the Superboys. Yeah, there's very much scraping the bottom of the barrel with nostalgia, and also, you know, you're spinning your wheels on old ideas with new paint. And also even with Lois having power, she still has not done anything of relevance with that. Um, and uh, well, we'll get to that, but Wonder Woman's mainline book, you know, that
Hmm.
shows how there was no, there wasn't a true long term um, idea for her. You know, I remember when Philip Johnson Kennedy said that he wanted to stay on Superman for, or whichever book he was on, for like 100 issues or so.
They
Have
all
a,
say
they all
that.
say that, but then he ended up leaving what, or third, he had like a 30 issue run or whatever.
Around that, I would say so. And
So
King, in all likelihood, is going to end at 40.
yeah, so you have that ambition. Um, I think that's more of a selling point,
And
you know?
honestly, at this point, I think that that selling point kind of has to stop because you put pressure on you. You put, and here's the thing: when you say that, when you go into it expecting to get like a long run, what that leads to is that you're communicating to people there will be filler issues, like lots of them, particularly in the case of Tom King.
Right, or you're, moving like molasses with these um storylines that it really did not make sense. Mouse Man, n- that should not have dragged out that long. Even
And
Sovereign,
also, Jargon brings up a good point. Is taking place in the next one's taking place in the future, which we just ignore what the hell happens. And I know what you're gonna say about Sovereign. Is like Sovereign took 19 issues to wrap up.
exactly. And honestly, King still did not
Wrap it up.
resolve yeah, resolve any of his threads properly. You have the Amazons. What was the aftermath of the Amazons being in prison, trafficked, and killed? We never saw that. Is Diana still a fugitive? We never saw any type of resolution to that. Um, Emily, the fact that you have her, just shot in the head and that's it. You know, Etta, what happened to Etta? We don't see any type of true interactions. It's just scene by scene.
Yeah, exactly. That's the weird thing about it's like but here's the thing. It's like going to Superman and Wonder Woman. With Wonder Woman, the thing is she's acting honestly, my friend Jim from Weird Science brought this up. She's acting more like a super villain, as a matter of fact. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if King said, "Oh yeah, Superwoman switch play by Superwoman, I mean Earth 3 Superwoman, switch places with Wonder Woman, and the real Diana's been a hostage the entire time." Because it's like the way she in the last issue, and Barry Britt, you forgot to add the notes for that one, so we'll talk about it now. It's like in Wonder Woman where what was it where she's talking to Mouse Man and then goes what's the word and then goes, you have two choices, you
Oh,
could
the
either
Amazons are devils. We went over that.
oh Oh, we did go over that issue. That was last week. Sorry, my bad. But the point is, with that, it's like he goes, "Oh, the Amazons are devils and stuff, and they'll kill you and murder you." I'm like, "What the hell?" And
Yeah.
here's the thing. Here's the other part I noticed, Britt. So she tells Mouseman, "For what you have done to my people." What has Mouseman done?
I mean, I guess he was supposed to be working with Sovereign or something. I don't know,
Yeah,
honestly,
you didn't
but
show us that.
we are not. That's the thing with DC's current storytelling. It's a lot of telling but not showing.
Mm-hmm.
And everything is done off panel or whatever. But yeah, um I mean, I guess that's the connection of why he becomes a lackey again for matriarch.
Oh my gosh, we'll never be able. And then of course, Mouseman has to go. Wonder Woman knows, and I go, "Can we stop with that, please?" I think we're at the point where that's done.
I mean, it, King said that he did not want to write Wonder Woman. He had no interest. His only interest was to, in order for him to be interested, he had to think of his daughter to create Trinity, and he
Yeah,
had to
because
think of his.
didn't he say he knows that no one likes Trinity now?
Yeah, he knows that she's unlikable, and he had to get her voice. But it's like, if you create a character, and
You should
we
have
have
that.
done this.
Let me put it this way: in one of our stories, Britt and I gave Superman and Wonder Woman a daughter. We had her voice before we ever put keyboard to page.
Exactly.
Like, let me put it this way: Olympia, we knew what her voice was.
Exactly. We knew her motivations, her purpose. We knew, you know, in a sense, like exactly how we imagine her in, our heads, her voice, and her mannerisms.
And also, again, if I said this on CLD last night, but if Trinity's supposed to be inspired by your daughter, does your daughter punch your wife, or how does that work? Because it's like you keep having Trinity be like either snot nosed or abusive to people.
Yeah. And also even Diana, the fact that she's just very distant, and the purpose was this self-insertion of King trying to put himself in as Steve is very telling that, as we've said, it doesn't matter the gender of, or um identifying for the writer,
Yeah,
because Wonder
exactly.
Woman has had female writers who disrespect her too.
Like Lobo.
Yeah. Or or with Tom Treasure, or um I think it's what is her name? I think Louise Simpson or something.
Simonson, yeah,
Simpson. Yeah,
exactly.
her. You have writers, female writers like that, and I think even an issue from Sensation Comics, featuring Wonder Woman, that was from 2014.
Hmm.
So yeah, you've had these female writers who disrespect Diana and really don't like her, or don't get her, don't want to get her, and or want to prop up, other female characters like Lois or something. And then you have the men who want her to be a trophy, a fantasy, or sexualized. So you have to have someone who respects her, like Perez, you know. But that's a rarity.
Exactly. And it's like, and then we get to like the upcoming initiatives for DC, where you have like, see, here's the thing about Level Up. How is that leveling up giving books to D-listers? That these books that will probably be canceled, and then they'll say, "Oh, they were always meant to be a mini series." Like, what?
Yeah, that whole thing. Don't don't say that. It's like, why would you say, you you promoted this book as to be um an ongoing, and you had these expectations, it didn't meet it, just be honest about it. You know, you don't have to try to gaslight your fans to say, oh, this was always going to be a mini or a maxi series. It's not. The sales weren't there. We can see, no, we don't have the definitive numbers or anything like that. But as far as ranking, it gives you some sort of clue as to where this, whichever book, where it is. So if it debuts at rank 87, you know, yeah, it's not gonna last. It probably debuted with 25, 25K, and that's it, that's all. But I know that you have to promote these things to get people enticed and interested. But again, you continue on giving these characters, obviously, they have a very vocal minority type um, fan base, you know, especially on the internet and Twitter. They make it seem like it's a lot of people. But if you are constantly giving the same chances to these characters and they aren't grasping, then
Well, here's the thing, Britt. You can take risks on characters if the main line is healthy enough to support it. The main line ain't healthy enough to support giving all of these other characters their own books.
that's true. But I think the fallback and the safety net is absolute.
Yeah, of course.
So
Yeah.
that is so even though the main line isn't healthy and you know, obviously they know that, it's the fact that they have the absolute verse that could at least hold them up so they can take these risks, which I mean, it can either be a very smart move, risky, or it can bite them in the ass later.
Most likely he's gonna bite them in the ass later, right? Well, let's be clear, Britt.
Yeah, so it is what it is. But I would say that it, even with the Elseworlds, you know, you have Absolute, you have other Elseworlds. I mean, even Gotham by Gaslight, whatever the title is, even that, you know, it was a older Elseworlds. You try to revive it, and even that just fell, you know, with sales. I didn't even know it was still going until I saw a review on it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's like, so one of two things is going to happen. Now, let's say if it somehow is successful, it will get some decent books. If it doesn't work, honestly, if it doesn't work at this point, I don't think that they honestly, if it doesn't work, I don't think they would pull the reboot ripcord yet, but I do think this will lead them to reshuffle a lot of stuff.
I think Snyder said that they were going to be shuffling creative teams.
Well, please see our discussion of the Tom King interview later in this slideshow, because that, in which case, all of this happening at the same time is suspicious. Anyway, speaking of suspicious, James Gunn's DCU. So it started. Now, here's the thing about this. And you know what's cool? Actually, Britt, I'm gonna bring this up. Britt, I've been showing Britt Star Wars for the first time, and here's the thing about. And by the way, NJ brings up, how did Mouse Man make Wonder Woman bleed? Well, it's the whole don't question it. That's the way King would kind of answer this. But anyway, so I've been showing Britt Star Wars for the first time, and I started on episode 4. And one of the things that Britt said when we were watching it was the world building is so clear. Whereas opposed, you look at the DCU, which Gunn said he was inspired by the world building in Star Wars. Britt, how was the world building between the two?
I was just about to say something. It is very different in the worst way for DCU, because these characters, you are supposed to first, they have to have that sort of personality that catches you. And there's so many multiple iterations of these characters. So you have to have a clear vision, inspiration, or whatever within the source material. Um, but just throwing your audience into a new verse, and especially when some people are still thinking that Henry Cavill is still Superman, and you just go into having corn sweat as Superman. The transition is very half-assed. No, you are to have that clear way of this is a new universe, completely. No, they don't want to do origins, but just having that Star Wars isk, with the um, words rolling rolling up or whatever. No,
Hmm.
that is awful. You would at least needed some type of scene to show you that this is vastly different than DCEU. And I don't mean vastly different as in demonized Krypton and the elves. I meant to, just show the different origin, show the that this, as I said, this is a new verse. And yeah, they should have had at least sort of like a crisis movie or a crisis mini to even show that, because that's what they initially planned in the first place, to have a crisis movie and then you transition to this new DCU, verse. So that really needed to happen.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like and it's like the problem with this, it's like then all of a sudden, okay, so you're expecting us to like jump in on this new DC world. Okay. The problem is then you bring in stuff from the previous regime like Peacemaker. And I'm like, "Bro, I get that Peacemaker was like your pet project, but honestly, again, like you said, there has to be a clean point. If I were in charge of that, I would say, sorry, Peacemaker is just getting one season. It was the DCEU project. We're not confusing it. We're not transitioning over. It's done. Get over it."
Exactly. Having Peacemaker, Blue Beetle, um, he was even going to have, Gal at one point be still have Wonder Woman 3. So it's like you you keep juggling, different ideas, and it's obvious that DCU currently, um the ideas they have is not working out as they wanted it to. Um but yeah, as I said, you should have done a complete clean slate.
But no, it's because he wanted to keep his little pet projects. But then you get to Superman, and that came out this year. And the thing about it was my dad actually describes it as it was very kitty, and I go, actually, that's very true. The part that really hinders this movie, and it's the sticking point for literally everyone, is the so we're gonna make Kryptonian send him there to like rape and murder people.
Right. That, I mean, Gunn should know that that is not the way of Krypton. That was not the message the elves had. You know, unless you're trying to do an Elseworlds of like injustice or something, that was just not the way to go. And especially within the world of today, politically, racially, and how high of the topic of xenophobia is. Why would you do that? Why would you demonize Superman's immigrant origins that way? You had Superman, or it was part of the marketing was to say how he balanced it out his human upbringing and his alien heritage. You know, that is fine, but the execution is horrible.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. Because all it was like, I'm going to fully like reject my Kryptonian heritage.
Yeah, no, that. So, what's the point of him being Superman? What is the point of having the fortress and everything like that if you're going to completely disrespect and disregard his his heritage. And even if you simplifying Superman as this country bumpkin, um, you know, uh, soft, nice boy, sunshine boy. He's not that. He is supposed to be the champion of the oppressed. He's supposed to have a little edge to him, you know. Um, and for Gunn to say that he's read All Star, that he read Grant Morrison's Action Comics for New 52, for any other Superman um, story, while yes, Post Crisis did lean into the more I'm human kind of, yes, let's try to make Krypton evil or sterile, with Barn, but at the same time, it's still like even that, you know, writers quickly wanted and editors wanted to uh, move away from that. So it's like, why would you adapt that sort of controversial and misguided notion for this character? And especially when Superman is supposed to be a global character as well.
The other thing is, like, when you hear Gunn's justification for that, he goes, well, there's so many things that I can't change. He has to have the trunks. He has to have Lois. So I needed something that would make my Superman unique. And I go, that's
So
what
you
you
did
pick?
not exactly. So you did. So having big red granny panties on and a spit curl, that is more important than respecting a heritage. Are you
That is
serious?
why the movie started at like a 6, like a 7 out of 10 for me, but then as he justified that, it dropped to a 6, and now the Superman movie is at a 5 for me, purely because of that reason, because I'm like, that is literally the dumbest reasoning. You want to be unique. How about don't put him with Lois? Don't put. Who says you have to do that with the characters?
Yet no one said you had to do this. I really just think that honestly, I think that was more so of trying to um, get in good with the audience, because while DCEU has its fans, it's still the general thing of everyone jumping on the bandwagon, hating it, and everything like that. So I think he had to romanticize the idea of this bright, sunny Superman that's the total opposite of DCEU and redo some things. The idea of Superman alienated by the public, that was something that happened in BVS, and um, him having this almost reluctancy, you know, um, but it was more so how easily things turned around, and he didn't really earn it. You have the Superman, he's supposed to be 3 years in, and he is loved, but we don't really see why he is loved. It's just this happy-go-lucky type thing.
Yeah, exactly. And then again, there was parts of this movie that I definitely enjoyed, but then it's like, then I'm reminded of all the stuff that I'm like, no, come on, man. But so then we get to so in Man of Tomorrow, it's confirmed that they are casting for like a warrior woman character. So there are two big possibilities. There's Diana, or there's Maxima. I more lean toward the Maxima because this is James Gunn we're talking about, and he really dives in on the like obscure characters, adding on to the fact that he's clearly inspired by the Justice League International run, which featured her out on the team eventually.
Yeah, so the thing is with that, he's inspired, and that's what he said about All-Star Superman for the Superman movie. But as we can clearly tell, it was not All-Star Superman. And honestly, you don't even really see the inspiration. So he might use the characters, but they are vastly different from the actual material. And another thing is saying that just the description of alone, with saying that she's supposed to be tall and she is a warrior, yes. She's a hero first. Is it didn't say anything about, being a villain first or being an anti-hero or anything like that. It said straight up as a hero. And
The thing on that is that Gunn could always say, well, I'm going more toward the heroic version of Maxima.
so it's kind of like, if that's the case, that makes sense. And she also has a supporting role. Like, she's, in a sense, I'm guessing more like Mr. Terrific
I would say
with
so.
this role.
Although Terrific was kind of the protagonist of the Superman movie.
Yeah, so that is kind of why it's like you have Lex, Superman, and this mysterious, warrior woman. And then there's also another male character that's supposed to be a hero. So it's kind of like, okay,
I'm thinking that Gunn's Justice League is going to be the JLI, which is stupid because that's the lame Justice League, the one that got their asses kicked by Doomsday.
I think the male role will probably be Booster.
I would say so. That would make sense. Either Booster or a Beetle. In other words, the Ted Kord Blue Beetle.
Well, I thought that from the Blue Beetle movie, he was alive.
But Britt, well, first off, he wasn't on alive. He was just trapped somewhere. But then again, remember, Gunn could always say, some of Blue Beetle is canon and some isn't.
Whatever.
Yeah, I know. Isn't it confusing? So it could be him. I would say Booster is likely because isn't there supposed to be a Booster Gold thing happening at some point?
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't know. Watch, Netflix buys it and then all of the obscure projects get shelved.
I don't know, because Netflix probably does want, obscurity.
Well, I mean, they could say, okay, this will only go on streaming.
True.
Which I would appreciate that. To be frank, Jared, it's Doomsday. Yeah, but here's the thing. That's one of the many reasons, problems with that stupid Death of Superman movie. Because that version of the Justice League, particularly when Doomsday first shows up, the actual Justice League, like of Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman, Martian Manhunter, Hawkman, Flash, they would have absolutely trounced Doomsday. I'm sorry, no. But it's like, though, you want to have that effect. I got news for you. Don't adapt the Death of Superman. There are many reasons why the DC AMU should not have had the Death of Superman, though.
Because it was dumb. It was yeah.
And it kind of tanks. It's kind of funny. Ironically, it tanked movie Superman about as well as it tanked the comic.
True.
It's almost like don't adapt that story ever.
Right?
The only person that's ever been able to do it well is Zack Snyder. And that even was not a pure retelling of Death of Superman. And then TMO says, so the main consequence of KO is where Superman went. Probably, but we'll see. But so let's talk about how it could be if it's Wonder Woman, what does that mean?
All right. So with this, given that it is a, warrior type, and Gunn did say that he likes the ambassador and the warrior, mixed. I would say it also has something to do with the plot line. Is not only Brainiac, but also Rick Flag Sr. and his, wanting to get rid of the metahumans, and that whole plot with Savage Land. What is it? Not Savage Land.
Oh, Salvation.
Yeah, Salvation. So you have that, And I would think that because, given the metahuman versus the government type thing, Diana would be involved.
Yeah, I would say
And
so. It
um
could be that like she's advocating against imprisoning people in Salvation because she thinks it's like internment.
exactly, but you also have if he's smart enough to do, you had Cersei and with the uh, sons of Themyscira, and they
Mhm.
were, kind of having this political agenda and, in a sense, misinterpreting what Themyscira is and who the Amazons are. So I think that that will be something that's sort of introduced as well within this to, you know, um, just go with fall in line with the government versus metahuman type thing. And then with this, it also goes with Superman's human way type thing. It moves removes that because as we always say, Diana gives Cal more balance, that he doesn't have to choose between his alien heritage and his human upbringing. He can balance it out a little bit better. So that can be something. And then it can also um, just have setting up her solo film, kind of like uh, I wouldn't say that Supergirl Supergirl was mostly tacked on, but it did kind of show you the setup of her being drunk, setting up
Mhm.
her solo. So this is probably going to be a little bit more fleshed out to show Diana's role, her motivations, and how she ties into the DCU, and again the whole government versus metahumans plot, the overarching plot with that. And also the formation of the Justice League. She obviously is supposed to be co-lead of that. So yeah, you should introduce her at this time because you have the Superman movie that introduced a little bit of or set up Supergirl, which was a little more of like an adjacent satellite type film, but Man of Tomorrow is supposed to directly follow, which again, it has that overarching plot line. And Man of Tomorrow is supposed to lead into Justice League. So, yeah, introducing Diana does make sense. Again, the role isn't a cameo, it is a big supporting role. So, that is why you would say Diana, you know, it makes sense for her. With saying that it's Maxima isn't as important. So why would you have her? It's kind of like she would be just for this movie, but why would you hold space when you're trying to set up the Justice League too?
It's that is a good question. It's one of those things where I'm like, the only reason why I say it could be her is because it's like gun. Otherwise, I would say yeah, it doesn't make sense that that would be like the thing.
Yeah, I just it it's very much a 50% chance for Diana. Again, it's the character description, the role, and just the fact that also her movie is supposed to come out in 2028. So you
We'll see.
have Man of Tomorrow 2027, then Wonder Woman 2028. It definitely makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about why it could be Maxima. Because again, it's like you still have the warrior princess. And if you want to go with like, you can still do like the diplomacy maybe, because it's like, maybe like she is hanging out on Earth and it's like they're negotiating with her people. And then also, this does tie into like Brainiac and all the more cosmic part of DC Comics you could go with.
Right, Maxima, while Diana, falls in line with the government plot line, Maxima falls into the Brainiac plot line, which is why it's 50-50. She does fit the supporting role because she is a Superman supporting character. She is a space princess, but the thing is, unless you're trying to show, like as you said, the original Maxima and being like this dominatrix type thing, I still don't see how you would want her to show that, because it just kind of justifies the demonization of Krypton too, and basically demonizing all aliens in a sense. You wouldn't want that.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and also she would probably function as engineer functions for Lex if she is to function for Brainiac. And again, the role still asks for a hero, superheroine. So I wouldn't think that, again, you would have her as a villain first or anti-hero and then full hero. That's just too much in one movie. Um,
She's not a superhero though, NJ. Yeah, but Gunn is going for a specific era of DC where she was.
yeah,
Because remember,
would
what's the era that he likes of DC?
he definitely likes the original. Well,
The post-crisis era and all that
he
stuff.
likes the post-crisis, but he did have a soft spot, or did say he liked a New 52, and that's what got him back to reading comics again. And that was
I have
his.
yet to see a lot of New 52 stuff though.
It's more aesthetics, it's true. Because his Suicide Squad was the aesthetics and stuff of New 52.
That is true. That is true. I'll give you that.
So with it being Maxima, Diana obviously won't be there to just be a, support for Superman in a very unappealing sense. We don't want her to be like that. We want her to debut properly in her own solo film. But again, it is very much a toss up when you want to set up things and have this interconnected universe.
Yeah, exactly. So then we're going to go now. If it's Maxima, not Wonder Woman, it does allow like someone else to be the first one to handle Wonder Woman, because I don't want Gunn to be the first to handle Wonder Woman. I really don't, because it's like he will go for the most surface level interpretation of Wonder Woman ever, and let Wonder Woman be the center point of her movie, please, of her debut, please.
Exactly. I would think that, especially being in her early 20s as well. And also, even that, Maxima, she doesn't have a specific age. So it's
Yes, you
very
could kind of roll with that. The other thing is you can combine elements of like her post-crisis and her rebirth version.
true. I mean, that's practically what's going on, of taking elements from different eras and trying to mix it all together. But as we see, it's very difficult to do.
Now,
But
yeah, go ahead.
but I would say that, again, if it wasn't for the setup of, what they're trying to do, it's very difficult to think of any other female character. You have some people saying Starfire, which really does not make sense. Um, Barda, in a sense, a little bit,
I could see
because
that.
of only because of the unfortunate miracle show from Tom King.
Yeah, but that's
And
Elseworlds.
is it?
I don't think that that's actually connected to the ongoing story in DCU. Here's the thing. I think Gunn basically says that is that he doesn't want to use Darkseid.
Okay, so Barda is out then. Some people were saying Black Canary, but Black Canary is not a warrior. So
Mm-hmm.
that's out. Um, Vixen was never described to be a warrior in that sense. And obviously, if they want Vixen, they would have specifically also asked for an African American female actress. With this, they did not specify, race with this. But yeah, if it was to be a African American um, role, they would have let that be known.
That's true. Watch it be like the most left field character that we've never heard of because it's Gunn.
I mean, to be a supporting role and to be, I really don't know who else it could be that you specifically asked for her to be tall too. I don't know any other specifically tall character. I really don't.
Yeah. So speaking of Wonder Woman, though, so her movie was fast tracked, and it's being written by Anna Noguera, who is currently writing the who wrote the Supergirl movie and was writing the Teen Titans movie, but that got like pushed aside in favor of Wonder Woman. And the thing about this that I think is very interesting is that first off, it's nice to see that they're prioritizing Wonder Woman, but the thing is, it's like if the problem with is that this is hyper dependent on Supergirl, because if Supergirl is great, as you say here, if Supergirl is great, then I think we have nothing to worry about when it comes to how she handles Diana. If Supergirl sucks,
I think so far with the test screening is that it's good. It's not great. It's not terrible. It's kind of like in the middle. So yeah, and the weakest part is the villain guy.
mm-hmm. Which yeah, we'll see. But I'm like, but yeah, but my point being, it's hyper dependent on how this does, because if it's like because if this movie's well, because here's the thing, if like the villain part is weak, how do you know she won't bring that to the Wonder Woman thing, and then all of a sudden Wonder Woman is known for having weak villains?
Yeah, well, for sure, I would say that Cersei is the main, antagonist of the
Most
first
likely,
movie.
yeah. I would say so. That works. But it's like again, this movie is why I'm watching Supergirl closely, because it's like, yeah. Oh, and Dave says, calling it right now, Supergirl is going to bomb hard even if it's decent.
Well, being that she is a satellite character, and it depends,
I
but
don't think it's gonna make
people,
as much as Superman.
oh no, it's definitely not going to be that. It's just the fact of, will it make at least a decent amount? I would say it would make less than Fantastic Four or
Oh, that's bad.
Thunderbolts.
That's also bad because both of those movies are seen as like underperformers.
Well, that is an underperformance for expectations of Marvel, but DC has a lower expectation.
That's true. That's true. Well, I mean, Dave has a point. It could just straight up flop because it's Supergirl, but we'll have to wait and see on that one.
Right.
So, Britt, looks like we got to do some review. All right. So Trinity finally concluded with seeing Steve Trevor's dead body. That was awesome. And then apparently Trinity saved John and Damien. So I'm like, for F's sake, bro. And it's more Steve glazing. And he's like, no, I have to go. I have to die because it's like, if I'm not dead, you're not created, or like something like that. But I'm like, can this whole thing just end already? This whole that I'm like, just time travel this and make it so this was all just a bad memory.
My thing is, why is it that I mean, you're making this about Steve's, his life and everything like that. That within skimming through this and seeing some of the dialogue or monologue or whatever like that, Trinity has no type of connection with Diana. First of all, just her overall creation being is so far removed from the mother-daughter matriarch matriarchy, theme of Wonder Woman. And then the fact that you have the main villain of this named the matriarch, it really shows how King is very disrespectful to the female, story, and no respect for the story of motherhood or sisterhood or anything like that. And with having even John and Damien, saying that she needs brothers. No, she has a whole island of
and the Wonder Girls.
Yeah, to be her sisters. Wonder Woman is about, as I said, motherhood and sisterhood first and foremost. So Trinity is already DOA with the fact that her whole entire purpose is being centered around male characters.
And
That's
the funny part, Robert had a fantastic point. He said he thinks that the Trinity series was always supposed to be just about like it was just going to be called Trinity, and it was just going to be about this plot, Trinity and her father. But DC made him put Trinity, daughter of Wonder Woman, for marketing reasons, and that's why it's called that. Yeah, go ahead.
That definitely. I mean, anyone could see that right off.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, someone actually made a great comment on a YouTube on one of my anti-Trinity videos, and I wanna highlight this. And if you're watching, whoever commented this, I can't. David Dangler or whatever. He starts saying, "I'm starting to think we're not supposed to like Trinity and that she'll die when King leaves." That's actually a good point.
I think so, because she is, his creation. She isn't, I don't see anyone who would want to continue writing her.
Well, the other thing is because when Comic Pop was covering the first trade of his Wonder Woman run, one of the things that they said is that he would not be surprised if by the time the story ends, there is no Trinity. Like, it's completely undone.
I mean, yeah, that totally makes sense. And honestly, I would
have 8% of respect for King if he did that.
I mean, it's kind of like putting her in the same space as the Super Twins. They are very much background characters. They don't exist unless Kennedy
but
them.
What I'm talking about is what if it's like, but they're not retconned out. This would be a retconning out.
Oh,
completely cranking it.
Well, they're not retcon, but they definitely disappeared.
Yeah, but they still exist. That's the difference. What Comic Pop was saying is that if like this whole thing ends at the end of King's Run and she doesn't exist anymore.
I mean, we would love that for sure.
And here's the easiest way to do that. Have a story that takes place in the future, or have Darkseid showed up at the end of Wonder War, go to Omega Beam Diana, and then Trinity jumps in front and takes the Omega Beams. Because what the Omega Beams can do is they can wipe someone from ever existing.
Kind of like Jason, Diana's twin brother.
Well, with Jason, they just sent him off to an alternate dimension. What the Omega effect does is that you have never ever it removes you from the timeline permanently. Like you were never born.
Oh well, we definitely need that. That is the one time I
That's
would
the
root for
cleanest
Darkseid.
way they could get. That's the cleanest. They don't have to do time travel at all. That's the cleanest way to get rid of her.
They definitely
and then
to.
Man of Steel fan says, wouldn't killing off Trinity just make Diana agree more? If you do it with, well, here's the thing. Again, here, I think you guys are missing the vital point. If Darkseid shoots her with the Omega effect, as far as Diana knows, she never had a daughter.
And that's what we want.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way. And now it's back and forth on whether or not like the Omega Beams can do that, but we would have Darkseid legit just say it. My Omega Beams will wipe you from the universe because you are the last hope, he says to Diana. And then Trinity jumps in front and takes the blast. That way it can't be, it wouldn't look too petty because she's giving like a heroic sacrifice, and then the world goes to white, and then it fades back in. It's Diana wakes up on that mascara. It's all good. Everything's fine. And then we can like decide on whether or not Steve stays dead or anything like that.
See, you're trying to be nice.
Here's the thing. I'm trying to be realistic on what DC would probably allow us to do. Let's be honest, Britt.
I mean, yeah, he needs to stay dead,
or come back as an old man. The way you could do that is make it so he does come back, but because the fates were cheated by this book, you can make it where that was the consequence. He comes back and he is aged up to pretty much the post-crisis, or maybe a little older than that. So he and Diana can never be together.
Or have it that he was sovereign the whole time.
From an alternate timeline! By the way, how awesome is it that Matriarch is Sovereign's daughter now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and real quick, I gotta fix something with the PowerPoints. There was a glitch, so let me do that. But yeah, it's like with this whole series, I can't wait to see what the sales are gonna look like for it, because so far, when last I checked, the sales were at, let's see, what else? 194 out of 200. That is what's called, Britt, in the biz, it starts with an F, Britt. What's the word for that? It starts with an F and ends on a P. What's the word?
A flop.
Yes,
flop
bingo.
Yeah.
It's a flop, a big flop. And like I said before, King has more floppy books than men have erectile dysfunction.
I mean, that is definitely a red flag, and it clearly shows that this is why he needs to get off the book. If you had this miniseries and it was supposed to tie into the Wonder Woman book
and your whole and this character is the reason why you were brought on the book.
Exactly. And to say at the end that Steve's and Trinity story continues on in the mainline Wonder Woman book, and it doesn't say anything about Diana though. Diana is a plot device, and she's, just a mute, pathetic something in her own book. A lot of the Wonder Woman fans or antis talked about SuperWonder, saying that Diana was reduced and she's just a girlfriend, or
What is
things like
this?
that. Exactly. What is this? Not only that, you reduced her as just like this power
Britt,
fantasy
remember,
for.
the picture in Steve's apartment is Diana as a trophy wife.
Yeah, you have her. Her first King says about her sole motivation and her purpose of leaving the island is Steve. Her whole purpose of fighting is Steve. And yeah, as you said, the not only the picture, but also the statue,
The statues, plural, Britt.
statues in and not just being reduced to the girlfriend, but you basically reduce her to a baby mama. And it's like Wonder Woman and baby mama does not mix.
Yeah, exactly. So then you get to, speaking of Tom King, so he was interviewed and Britt graciously took notes. And so we're going to go through each point individually or in groups if they're groups. So Diana has a mama bear instinct and is badass. And as much as she's a symbol of love and compassion, she's still a badass. I have yet to see that besides her being a mopey woman that's like unmoored.
She's only badass when she's angry, and she's talking about Steve. And that is what King thinks is badass, that she's fighting for a man. She's not fighting for the world. She's not fighting for her sisters. She's not fighting for, innocent women or innocent children. She's just fighting for a man. And even in the last issue, she said that she is fighting for Trinity's future and trying to be this good parent or whatever. But again, it's not earned at all.
Mm-hmm. So Matriarch is an evil Disney princess that looks like a BDSM doll. Well done, sir.
Yeah, so he said that the description he gave Saint Pierre was some type of Disney, princess type, like Alice in Wonderland, the evil queen type thing.
Wonder War is inspired by Days of Future Past. Another ripoff.
I mean, does he have anything original?
Well, yeah, and everything original he has flops. It's that funny. Diana will be old Wonder Woman with Trinity set 20 years from now. So this story involves no time travel.
No, it's not time travel. It's a possible future, so I have no idea how this is going to work.
The way I think is probably going to happen is Diana's still going to die, but Trinity is going to go back in time, stop the whole thing from happening, and then she gets undone.
It has to be, but I mean, even 20 years into the future, Diana being old and wrinkled, that is not supposed to happen.
Yeah, she's divine in either origin. She has divine beauty.
It's not just the beauty part; it's the fact that she's still technically immortal.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. But oh my god. So next point by John Jones says the only thing these writers can think of is how to make their sons clones of their fathers. Yeah, exactly. And he wanted Wonder Woman to give Wonder Woman a Lex Luthor-like bad guy, which is Matriarch. First off, so you notice how he used to say that Solvin was supposed to be Wonder Woman's Joker, and then the minute everyone rejected that, he goes, "Oh no, this is supposed to be Wonder Woman's Lex Luthor." The thing about Lex Luthor is he's in the present, so this character, this Matriarch, will be forgotten as soon as you're off the book, bro. So it's not as Lex Luthor. It's more like a villain that Superman had, like, let's say in Silver Age, that no one uses anymore because they're stupid.
But, I mean, Diana is basically beefing with a baby, or like her sister. If you want to say Emily was like her sister, so she's beefing with her niece or something, that's kind of lame.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The whole story's lame, Britt.
It is.
Leslie and Liza are like sisters, being the first children of sovereigns and a human man, Sovereign Steve.
That is, I mean, you are definitely trying to put this male narrative in a Wonder Woman, story. If you think that having, a tantrum, throwing a tantrum about the Zeus origin, you, I would think that people will really throw a tantrum. The fact that King, DC editorial, and everything changed the Wonder Woman, her origin, to be of the purpose of a man. You know, at least with the Zeus origin, it wasn't having, it wasn't Hippolyta creating Diana, with the clay origin and having Zeus, as in like you're doing like a ghost scene or whatever, and they're molding the sands together. It's not that. They basically the old fashioned way of having a kid or whatever, and that's it, that's all. So Diana became, Zeus's daughter.
Exactly.
But
So,
to but to use the clay origin that is supposed to be of independence of, again, really, it's not only disrespecting Diana and her origin, but it's also disrespecting the message of what is, the importance of it, and also Hippolyta, because Hippolyta's story is being a woman of abuse who felt this emptiness, within her soul, and wanting her unborn child. And that is what fueled her to create Diana.
yeah, exactly. So then you get they're raised under different circumstances. Well, I hope so. And by Britt, I love this. He confirmed Emily's dead. She got shot in the face. Of course she's dead.
With the whole thing about them raised under different circumstances. So are you telling me that Diana had no compassion, no sympathy, empathy, whatever, that her Emily, died or whatever, and she didn't take her baby? Like, she didn't take her to the Amazons. Even Etta, we didn't see Diana even interact with Etta at all. So what happened to Liza, to where she grew up to be so bitter and evil?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Watch, he makes Etta a villain. Mouse Man returns as matriarch servant. No. And
Matriarch knows.
And she kills all the heroes in Wonder Woman's rogues. The only one left's Diana. She kills Grail off screen.
Yeah, she kills everyone somehow. She even King brings up that she has the Legion ring and the Green Lantern ring.
Both things that he has abused or messed up.
Because honestly, I thought that in order to get a Green Lantern ring and to use it, you have to be
chosen.
You have to be chosen.
And there's no way in hell a ring is going to choose her. Because the way it actually works is Mogo chooses, Mogo is the Green Lantern planet, chooses where the ring goes. So he ain't sending it to her.
And I thought you're supposed to have some type of like pure heart or,
No. That is not true, because how did receive a Green Lantern ring? That's not exactly true. But you can have people that turn evil but have a Green Lantern ring. But the point is, just because she has a green, that's saying that Hal Jordan could take out all of Wonder Woman's rogues.
That's true.
So I'm like, no. No, exactly. Wonder War is an 8-issue arc, so at least we know. Okay, it starts on 31, ends if it starts on 31, goes until like, let's say 39, and then 40 would be like the final wrap-up issue, or if it's the end of the run, it could either be he ends at 39 and then the next writer comes on at 40, or he ends the Wonder War at 39 and then does like a final wrap up issue of his entire run on 40. What do you think?
I mean, he could go the Azzarello route because I think Azzarello was 36 issues, so he can end on like an odd number of 37, 38.
Yeah, I was like, that's very true. Or like in this case, 39, and that gives the next writer an opportunity to end at 40.
Right. I just don't think that he needs any more issues. Like, we don't give a damn about an epilogue or anything like that. So just finish this matriarch arc and be gone.
And be gone. Yeah, exactly. And by the way, if I were the editor on Wonder Woman, as soon as he leaves, I say you're never allowed to use any Wonder Woman characters in your stories ever again. That you have thoroughly abused this area. Trinity's book is an antidote to the book where he wrote about suicide and depression. No, because in Trinity he mocks it when he has Trinity mock like Pariah. So I'm like, okay, instead of dealing with it, you make fun of it.
I mean, this book and just the way King writes, it actually leads the reader to want to drink or have depression or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. His daughter's the influence on Trinity. That is the biggest insult to the daughter, because it's like, so are you telling, if your daughter's the influence, are you telling me your daughter's unlikable? I don't think he really thinks these things through before he says them.
Right. I mean, yeah, you are going to have influence on, personal experience, on if you are creating a character, you have experience of a certain person, like Austria, my OC, in The Blessing. She is inspired by my little sister, so,
or Olympia.
Or Olympia, so you can have a good character, be influenced, and be a quote unquote self-insert. It just has to be good. It has to be more positive than just this power fantasy. And
it can't conflict with the fundamental nature of the character.
Exactly.
But so then this is the part that gives me hope. He says he is in a transition period and 90% of his work now is Hollywood. So if these transition, and didn't King say at a con that he may leave the run early because of Hollywood?
Exactly. Yes, he did.
That's
say
where
that.
I'm like, plus with the Wonder War being able to like wrap up most if not all of his plot points for the story, this would be like the opportune time to hop off.
Exactly. I mean, again, we do not give a damn about this book. I'm pretty sure they know how vocal the fans have been.
And real quick, Milo. No, I know. Well, she's still a young superhero. Well, we've had young superheroes that have been much more humble than she is. They didn't walk around saying, Spider-Man did not walk around going, I am the leader of the Avengers. No, he just kept his head down. It's like, no, there's a difference between being cocky and being straight up unlikable.
Yeah, no, she's a brat. Like that is not how you write a young female character. Even as an Amazon, and especially for her to be raised by Diana, if she was even raised by her. And that was also part of the last issue of Trinity 2, is how
Trinity didn't have anyone. She had the Amazons.
And
she had John and Damian. She did. Don't tell me she didn't have anyone.
To say, well, I wouldn't say that, because Tom King, he did write that she didn't have anyone. How she felt lonely but he framed it as her loneliness only depended on having Steve,
No,
which
but it's like, remember, even the backups, she had Damien and John, and she even had Jason.
that's true, but again, the framing is terrible.
Oh
Um,
yeah, exactly.
but she um with being a young a young Wonder Girl, I would say, because that is technically what she wants supposed to be. Um, for her to say in the book that she is so different and wants to be different from Diana, like she has no type of inspiration from her, says a lot about how King sees Diana. And also it really says a lot when King had Selena teach, the 5-year-old Trinity about makeup and how they basically made it seem like Diana was a stick in the mud, as a mother or a strict mother or whatever in a very derogatory sense. Um, and to have this sense of Trinity feeling like she has to meet these expectations or she has to be perfect, in that sense of making it seem like Diana was sort of like a mommy dearest or something. That is not Diana. And you can definitely tell that King does not know, again, the mother daughter dynamic of Diana and Hippolyta. How we write Olympia or how I write Austria or anything like that, when building that mother daughter relationship, the first thing is the relationship between Diana and Hippolyta. And that relationship influences Diana's relationship with her daughter. And with that experience that Diana had with her mother, she would want her daughter to be free, to be herself, no expectations. Yes, she will be protective of her. She will be, but she will also respect, her and giving her that space to be free and be who she wants to be. So for King to write, in a sense, like I said, Diana is some type of depressed mommy dearest or something, and which makes Trinity depressed and act like she has no one, and even the Amazons not embracing her or teaching her, making her feel like she has thousands of sisters. That is a failure really on King.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I'm like, here's the thing. Oh, John Burns' Wonder Woman is actually pretty good. I actually do enjoy that run, Nate. But the thing about it, no, I get that character development is important, not at the expense of Diana, because if there's one person you should never character assassinate to prop up your OC, it's Wonder Woman. But
Yeah, that was
and that's the
definitely.
thing. And again, King knows he screwed up with this character. That's the key part here. He knows the fan base hates her.
Yeah, none of that was character development. You definitely have her not her growth is again depending on Steve. And that's not growth. That is codependency and whether it's Diana or Trinity, that just should not be.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about something a little more. Hippolyta is not Wonder Woman. No one in the Wonder Woman. Hippolyta is Wonder Woman. Nate, I don't know. Hippolyta was Wonder Woman in World War II. I don't know what you're talking about. That's canon now. So that, according to history of the DC universe, she was. So whatever. So Britt, so tell me what you think about Green Lantern 9, because this was an important issue because it retcons in, or I'm gonna say retcons in something and explains something that has confused me about Green Lanterns forever.
Okay, so we're back to the OG artists that really conveys the cinematic
Yeah.
visual of uh, the action, and I love the glowy type paneling of this and the art
Hmm.
because it just makes it seem like it's just 3D and it stands out. And
Yeah.
honestly, they could definitely, have this style for a Green Lantern animation
Yeah, I
that,
would say so.
I love that. Um, Second, yeah, this issue definitely has some lore explanation that I don't know, so you would definitely have to explain it to me.
All right.
um,
Here's what that
and
is. It explains why there's so many human Green Lanterns. Because traditionally it's supposed to be 2 per sector. The reason why 2814, the sector of Earth, gets a lot is because there's a backup central power battery in the core of the Earth that essentially, if the one at Oa is ever destroyed, this is so there could still be a Green Lantern. As soon as I read this, I'm like, that makes a ton of sense now because they never really explained why they keep getting human Green Lanterns.
you know what? That actually makes sense and not at all contrived.
No,
Because,
exactly, because it builds on it. It makes a logical sense, of course, to be a backup, and then you would want to protect your backup, right?
right, and honestly, this, I never understood why there's a lot of Flash, you know,
Hmm.
characters. I don't know if they've ever given a explanation on that. Um, Not even for the Superman family. There should not be 5 or 6 Kryptonians in Metropolis alone.
Because
That just
why
does
would
not make
anyone
sense.
try and commit a crime there?
Yeah. The Bat family, they're humans. So you can have acrobats all over the place, and Gotham honestly is it it's a character of its own. So the Bat family being as big as it is makes sense within Gotham. Um Aquaman makes sense to have a big family, of course. But Superman and Wonder Woman does not make sense at all. Um with the Wonder Girls, they have a distinct personality and everything, and they have their own paths, but they don't have a connection with Diana as much, especially Yara. She is so detached from Diana. Um, and then, as I said, with Superman, 5 different Kryptonians in one city is overkill
Would
for
anyone
sure.
try that? But with this, it's like because Green Lantern never had that problem because Green Lantern, as opposed to like Superman or stuff, because it's a military police force, it makes sense that there be multiple Green Lanterns. But traditionally, it was so the way the duty is set up is like there was like okay the universe is divided into sectors, and each sector is supposed to have, I think, 1 or 2 Green Lanterns. But Earth kept getting human Green Lanterns, so everyone's like, "What?" And Dave Imperial is right. The explanation in post crisis was because Earth was like the centerpiece of the multiverse, so that's why Earth sector got so much of, because if you take out Earth, the entire multiverse collapses. But with this one I think is less like convoluted with the multiverse, and this one is like, no, there's just a backup battery in case the first one gets like destroyed, so protect Earth at all costs as a contingency plan.
I honestly love that explanation.
Thank you. And what you're also seeing here is that with the other lanterns, so currently in the run, the Owens, those tiny blue guys aren't in charge of the Green Lantern Corps anymore. It's being run by essentially the UN of space, established during He Who Must Not Be Named Superman run, and it turns out just as well as you think it would. And the current leader of the United Planets is using them as his personal like Gestapo hit force, and this is going to come to a head in the next few issues. And the thing that I love about Jeremy Adams is that when he adds stuff to the lore for characters, whether or not it's the Lantern explanation or like the United Planets stuff, what he always does is he thinks, at least from what I see from his reading, he thinks, how do I add something to this that builds on the already existing source material, but also gives something fresh to it? And every time he manages to do it. And it's like with this run, it's like, well, first off, he was one of the writers of the Green Lantern series. So of course he's going to write Green Lantern really well. But the ideas that he puts in and the way he executes them is why this book really deserves more attention than it gets.
Honestly, I just think that, well, first, Adams, it seems like, the fandom picks and choose which writers they want to support, and others they want to have this parasocial type beef with. So I think Adams is kind of on that line of the beef part, from what I've seen. And it's kind of like the fans, they don't care for the story. And especially when they're so stuck on their own headcanons that they don't see when the story is actually good and compelling.
Yeah, exactly. And what we see here is like the other thing is the reasoning why he can't leave Earth is because there was like the United Planets put a quarantine around Earth. So that's why he couldn't like escape Earth. He kept falling back. But now with his new ring that he gets from this, and he can like give the rings to other people, he can finally escape. And that's what that's what is going to open up this series. So, Britt, how do you rate this issue out of 10?
I definitely give it an 8.5.
Sweet. And yeah, Zermanico's art is one of the highlights of this book. Like, because here's the thing, and even with the colors, because here's the thing, Green Lantern, you kind of need a good colorist for Green Lantern, but with the art and the way that like everything is so hyper detailed, but it's in a way that it's like that it's not like overwhelming. And what Zermanico does really well is he gets scale, like with like the giant constructs, the little underground forest that Hal is in. Everything is like properly scaled really well. I really dig that. And Nate, please be nicer to people in the chat, please. Otherwise, I'm going to ban you. Anyway, so let's go to Bomb Queen number 9. Oh, boy. So the thing about Bomb Queen is so we get the explanation of like Black Light and basically a summation of the Shadow Government. The Shadow Government's been behind pretty much everything that has happened in the previous issues, to including like the double agent and the politician stuff. And I also like that the talk show hosts are now scared of having her on the show, because then she would be because she's killed every co-host, every like host of the show. I really dig that. I like that. As for everything else, I've overall dug this issue. It has the humor, it has the fun. I always have trouble finding pictures for this because her boobs are out a lot in this series. So I'm like, what can I put on the slides that's not going to get me canceled by YouTube? But
Robert has I think 2 or 3 times, even if it is the most tame out of the bunch, he was flagged or censored from YouTube with the thumbnails.
Yep. That's why I'm a little suspicious on that. But as for as for everything else, I'm like, okay, this is pretty good. It's gone back to it hasn't gone back to that type of humor, but so it's like, okay. but I did like a lot of the blacklight stuff. I like that what it's doing, and by the way, Nate, it's from Image. I really like the origins for the other characters that are, because it's like, this is when the crudeness, if you will, of the book is its strength, because what it does is, by vividly showing you like Blacklight's origin and stuff, it shows how like, it kind of shows how like these characters went through such hell, but they ended up good, as opposed to Bomb Queen, or good, if you will.
You see how even a crude book has more um compelling characters, and even if the plot is very adult and comedic, raunchy, and everything like that, it still is 10 times better than the current Wonder Woman book.
Oh yeah, 100%. And Dave says, I just had a terrible thought. In the same way that Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern movie killed the cultural phenomenon of Jeff Johns' run, Tom King's Lanterns could bring down Jeremy Adams' momentum. Yeah, but he's not the showrunner of the series, so it's different there. But yeah, it could. So let's talk about Absolute Superman. Now, here's the thing, Britt. I'm gonna say this. I think you're being a little too hard on this series, because here's my point on this. Because it's yes, it like sets up like a little bit more of like the classic status quo. However, it doesn't fully embrace it, because it's like because yes, it's like okay, so the Kents made him a blue suit. Kents are dead, so that part is different. And you know as well as I do, the patchwork suit is not going to be the suit that he wears. It's the suit is like adapted by his Kryptonian armor. The thing that I really dug about this is the epic battle of like him versus Ra's al Ghul. But Robert brought up an excellent point. The way Ra's is designed, he looks like Vandal Savage.
I mean, that's why he should have been Vandal.
Yeah, and that what would work too. I also like him using the dust of Krypton as a sword. It's like see, the thing that I really dig about this is that this is the stuff you can't do with regular Superman. And it's the idea that like all of Smallville comes together to like protect them against peacemakers. And I love seeing peacemakers get their asses kicked. I just love it. And it's like the thing about this, that yes, because I'm fine if it touches on and maybe dabs cool like ideas. I mean, some ideas from like the classic line, but does a new spin on them.
I mean, I really don't care one way or the other.
One of these days, I'll turn you back into a Superman fan.
When hell freezes over, probably. The thing is, the Al Ghul's, you can have them as the villains or whatever. It's just the execution, and it already like the fans of the Al Ghul's, they have been burned. And especially with Talia too, because she doesn't get the respect from the Batman fandom, obviously. So with here, you would think that she would have, because it's supposed to be the opposite, something sort of, different. But what's weird is that it kind of goes within still the plot of Batman, with Al wanting Cal to be his son, so Talia and Cal being brother and sister is kind of okay. You have Lois motivated to become a writer because of Superman, and or like her classic reporter ways. Jimmy takes pictures. He does do that. They do have these certain moments of, the classic characterization spilling out. It's just the fact that it comes out in a way that feels like you're scared to do anything unique. I think that is the problem, and
Mhm.
that is what is off-putting to the rest of the fan base. And you can sort of see that that's a very valid criticism.
Okay.
Um, and especially with the fact that also his suit, I mean, with okay, so first with the Kents, he only knew them for a week, and I get that you do get attached to certain people, and especially because he was so young and lost his parents, so he attached himself to this kindly couple.
And they
Totally
came to
understandable.
rely on him because he like helped them around the farm and stuff.
Exactly, totally understandable. But on the flip side of you do this and for him to all of a sudden, not that he's gonna go by that name, but it's still the fact that he ends up with the Clark Kent name. Um, and also with the blue suit. I mean, the whole appeal was to have a suit that is different from the main line, even the color. With having the suit black,
W-
it was made
Well, it is.
by
Well, it is different. It has the ash cape and
it's
it's sans trunks.
it's different, but the same. Given that just because it's a different tone of color, it's you know it it's the fact that that's the problem, that it turned back into the classic blue. And that again is something that the fans just don't like. They like the black and red type color. It does go back to when he was a boy on Krypton and he had the classic blue anyway. So that is a 50-50 thing. Um, and then now he's heading to Metropolis. So he was in Brazil, I believe, first as the
Yeah.
champion of the oppressed. Yes, those people did um, die because of the peacemakers, but it was still the fact that you see him as this loner but global um, champion of the oppressed, though. But then you get to Smallville, and it's very long, drawn out. Now your next arc is having him in Metropolis. You know, yeah, maybe he is supposed to be a sort of nomad and traveling, and at some point you do want to have those monumental, like Easter eggs, of some sort. But at the same time, you don't want him to establish himself in Metropolis or anything like that because you don't want to stray into being the same as the main line. However, I do see a double standard there because Wonder Woman's in Gateway City. That was a mainline thing. And
Yep.
Batman is in Gotham. The
Yeah.
only thing,
So the other thing, Britt, is like the reason why I take criticisms of this book a little less seriously. Not from you. I'm talking about from Twit. That's what I call these people. Is that they never liked this book because somehow they had it in their head that that the way Ra's was written was Islamophobic, and I'm like, what?
I mean, it could be um with how, race is the as I said at the beginning, the depiction of him in mainline as well. And
But here's the
just
thing:
his culture.
they never established if race was a Muslim in this book.
I think is not outright, but I guess the way he sort of dressed or looks, in certain instances, we might not know what to look for in an instant to know. But who's reading the book and seeing it and probably seeing some sort of symbolism or whatever, they would know. So that is
Okay.
why they are calling it out, which I totally understand. And yes, if anyone knows of their certain culture or a culture that they are, well versed in to know or to recognize the signs of that, then yes, it should be spoken out on.
Okay. Yeah, but yeah, I get that. I get that. But no, I understand it. But it's like here's the thing. It's like also add on to the fact that the Superman fan base is like notoriously hard to please. So I'm like, all right, let me just give this a shot and stuff. So we'll see what happens. But how do you rate issue 14 out of 10, Britt?
um
I'm concerned.
uh I'm finding it. I'm trying to be nice. Let me see.
Oh my god, that's a concerning sign.
Okay, with the art, I will give it a 6.
That's that bad. Wow.
I mean, because I really don't care for the story. I really
Oh,
don't.
okay.
I would say that the emotional part of, the ending that he got the letter, I don't care for the Clark Kent Easter egg. Um, but that was selling me on not the story, but the visual is that's it. It's the art.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. That's fine. Me personally, I give it like, I don't know, a 7. I'll give it that. So, Absolute Wonder Woman issue 15. So, we finally got the crossover with Batman, and then they tease the other crossovers. One of the things I really like about this, I like the sort of back and forth between Bruce and Diana. And again, it's a friendly dynamic. I want to be clear. I also like Diana seeing snow for the first time. I'm like, okay, this is nice. It's like with her seeing like a dove for the first time because she's from like the underworld and stuff. And I like how they play off of like she's a golem, so it's like they can like control her slightly. And obviously, Hayden's art combined with Jordy's colors is like one of the highlights of this book. And then again, we have Veronica Cale as the center villain of this thing. I really dig this. And the interesting thing is that the two crossovers, the one in Absolute Batman, the one in Wonder Woman, they're two separate stories. It's not like they're both telling one story.
That's good that they're, separate stories, a little, that it's just its own thing, kind of, not even within being in the ongoing story, I would say. It's just its own separate thing. That is the only thing that's good here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was marketed as like the grand first meeting, and the whole you demanded it type thing. But honestly, the expectations were not met. It was very overhyped. Um, it it was underwhelming, I would say, because it with trying to have it straightforward and light and not it didn't have any tension. It didn't have any real, like, I would say, monologue or dialogue or any type of emotional reaction to the fact of meeting, you know? Um, and it wasn't so much as a build up type thing. It just happened. Um, and you also, I mean, it was cute for what it was of Diana like explaining what magic was, um, her being just overly friendly. But I think that is the issue too, is that we get a Diana that we don't see much conflict with her. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, And the fact that some fans are saying that she's better than mainline Diana, she might be better than mainline current Diana, Tom King's Diana, but some fans have to remember that this sort of, personality that she has is mainline Diana. It's just a
Yeah,
little bit,
that's kind of the point there.
it's just a little bit overly friendly, and sort of naive. And again, we don't have that depth of her relationships. It's just so instant. Like with Cersei, it felt like she was declawed because she is supposed to be this great, sorceress, a little bit sassy, a little evil. And as soon as she meet baby Diana, yeah, Diana is supposed to have that positive effect on people, but at the same time, it's not that instant,
Well,
you know.
it was an instant with Cersei. We saw her growing up. We saw her raising Diana as Diana was growing up. Diana was a baby when she first met her.
No, we saw her like in an instant when the transition of her trying to make the cave a home,
Mm-hmm.
it was still like
How do
it
you
was
know it
like
was?
a
How do you know it was instant?
I mean, it was drawn that way
How do you know like there wasn't a period of time passing between it?
because it was drawn as like showing Diana supposedly growing up, but when she was like around 5, within a 5 year span, Cersei still became like had the personality of Hippolyta in a way, a little bit softer,
Yeah,
I
well,
would say.
here's the thing. You said in the Superman part that you wanted like this to be vastly different from the main line. That's part of the absolute stuff. So it's in the whole thing. The interesting thing about the absolute stuff going to Veronica Cale is like good is bad and bad is good. Essentially, what I mean by that is like the characters you would expect to be bad are good, like Cersei, and the characters you would expect to be good, like Hawkman, are bad in this universe. So isn't that also part of what you just told me that like you want to see more from the absolute universe?
What I'm saying is, I want them to have more conflict and not this instant, you know, friendship or these instant relationships. It definitely feels like a reheated of rebirth setup. Um, because of the characters and because of Kale being the main villain. And like I said, Cersei, until we get more like of her inner conflict, she feels like she was declawed. I want, like, still want her to have that moment of not being mean towards Diana, but still a little bit distant and sassy or something like that. She does not have that
Well, she
sort of,
was towards the gods.
I want her to be towards Diana.
Okay.
Like, give us a little bit of, as not a villain, but just give us some type of conflict. It's not supposed to be just the world is dark, yes. And these characters are to keep their core values, yes. But they still need to be challenged. And Diana's whole thing, and that was one thing that Kelly said. She doesn't want Diana to be the goddess of war. We get that. But at the same time, don't overcorrect it to where she's just this happy go lucky sort of sunshine, though. No, that flattens her character too. Have a little bit more balance within that of Diana having conflict with people. And it's a slow process of trust and friendship and things like that. That is how you resonate more. But with this, it is more so because out of spite of hating, the mainline book, that people accept this more. and you are missing the more substance of it. You're missing a lot of, again, Diana's personality still. And I don't really want her just to be Sunshine Girl.
Okay, but and there have been moments where she was more than Sunshine Girl, like when Hades forced her to kill that chimera, or it's like whenever anyone threatened the Earth, she kicked their asses.
I mean, it's still kind of like an instant, and then we're kind of going on to the next, though. I want more, like, give her more to learn from. It's okay, yeah, it's a one and done, basically. I don't want one and done. I want, like, at least a little bit more. And even with this is a one and done. But at the same time, how are they just instant friends, though? We don't have, like I said, the conflict, the friction, the tension. We don't have the inner monologues to really feel how does it feel to meet another hero. We don't get that.
Okay, I can accept that as a criticism for that. That makes sense. But yeah, it's like yeah, and a part of it is because a part of why people like the series is because of the King thing. What's going to be interesting is when King leaves to see if people still like this series as much as they do. That's the thing. That'll be very interesting.
I think they will like it. It depends on what Kelly would do, really.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so we'll see with this because I think it's good. I think it's still pretty fun. But how do you rate issue 15 out of 10, Britt?
I give it a 6.
A 6? Ooh, that low.
Honestly, it was gonna be a 5 because, again, I didn't feel the grandness that it was supposed to be.
Well, yeah, they did like Scott Snyder tends to overhype this.
Yeah, it just didn't feel, as I said, if you were to have them a little bit more um not as friendly at first, a little bit, you have to have that mistrust and that earn the trust. You can't just go in of, like, they've been friends for a minute or so. They just met. And we don't, like I said, get that true reaction to it. Like, um, like in New 52 when the Justice League first met, or like in, Perez run
Well, you
when,
forget when the Justice League met, Diana shows up. It's like, and Superman's like, "You're strong, I know." And then she goes, "It's so great to meet fellow warriors."
yeah, but she's friendly, but it was still that sort of reaction. There's no reaction here of, it still was the mistrust. It still was the learning of each other. This is just,
But that came later with like the David Graves storyline and all that stuff.
but they still weren't just complete team friendly, though. Like
That's true.
here,
That's true. Well, and again, it's like Batman still does not trust Diana.
that was not conveyed at the end. That was definitely him being friendly.
Or as friendly as the Batman Who Lives can be. But I will say I do love the idea of Diana need to get his attention, so she made a bat signal out of magic. I'm like, okay, that's good. I
I
like
mean,
that.
you would, even with having that, this Batman would definitely be like, yeah, he said, what the elf is that? But he would have a, a much stronger reaction to that. And he didn't.
Okay, I'll give. Well, it could be because it's not Scott Snyder writing Absolute Batman. And Nate, I don't think they're going to change creative teams for any of these books. I highly doubt the Absolute books are going to change creative teams. I don't know where that's coming from. So that's the end of our PowerPoint presentation. I give this issue about a 7.5 out of 10. But so now this is the portion of the stream where you guys can ask us any questions that you guys have about Superman, Wonder Woman, anything we talked about. So fire away your questions and we'll be sure to get to them. So any questions that you guys want to see. Now, actually, Britt, I have a question for you. What's your favorite thing that DC put out in 2025? That pause.
I don't know. There's nothing.
Think of something.
How can I think of something when there's nothing?
You can't fake it, huh? I'm only kidding. But yeah, how would you two do a Wonder Woman trilogy? Are you talking about movies or are you talking about like comics? What do you mean by that? But yeah, any questions about movies, comics, whatever you guys would like us to talk about, go ahead. As for me, my favorite thing that DC, I think, put out this year is this. All right, so Britt, I got this for Christmas as well. So this is a book purely on Superman. It's on the history of Superman. And look at how big this thing is.
Wow.
Yeah, it is massive. They talk about the new 52. And of course, they frame it as because the new 52 Superman was not deemed as successful. So I'm like, course, but still. So, and Nate asked us about movies. So as far as Wonder Woman, I think you would build up to maybe Veronica Cale being the main villain in like the trilogy. Like movie 1, she fights Cersei and then puts Cersei in prison. Cale gets her out. And then you get to like movie 2, maybe it's Cheetah or Giganta. And then Cale gets them out, and then movie 3 is Diana has to fight like her rogues, and then has to fight Cale. What do you think?
Let's see. The first movie is definitely inspired by Perez.
It's basically an adaptation of Gods and Mortals.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. The second, I would say it's I would say the whole trilogy is Perez for me. Gods and Mortals, War of the Gods, for the second one. And I would say for the third, it would be more of, you would have Vanessa as Silver Swan. The big villain,
Now wait, Britt. Would one of those movies be Amazon's Attack?
See, you this close to having me say stuff, and it's kind of like
I had to. I'm sorry. I had to.
But let me see. Silver Swan and that's Cersei in the second one. Maybe Diana against Strife. I would put a little bit of, probably Eris within the third movie. Chaos and with the gods, I would say.
Okay, that works. I dig that. Or the other thing that you could do, one of those movies is actually a Justice League movie because it's Justice League versus the gods, and you make Wonder Woman the protagonist of that movie. As you can tell, I really want to do my Justice League fight the Greek gods story.
Yeah, or the last one could be an adaptation of, since you brought up the Justice League, of League of One.
Yeah, that works. That works. You could 100% do that, and it's basically Wonder Woman fights a dragon. That works really well. Dave brings up the Paramount deal. If it looks like Paramount is still going after WB, and it's possible that the Netflix deal will be rejected by the government, how do you think this will play out? If the Netflix deal is rejected by the government, then I think Paramount's in play. for right now, I think that it's Netflix until the government says anything. What do you think, Britt?
Honestly, I think that they are not. It's a. It's very much a game, a gamble. A gambling game or something. Because I don't know if WB is like playing hardball just to keep, knowing that Paramount will keep raising the amount they will shell out,
Mhm.
and maybe they are trying to do that, or they are legit going with Netflix. Um, but honestly, I don't care which company gets it. I just care about if we are to get respected content of Wonder Woman and other female characters. So honestly, whichever one gives us that is who I would like to beat out the other with.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, we'll see with that. It's because it's like you could make the art, and some people think, oh, if Netflix buys it, they'll make DC make Wonder Woman buy, and I go, Netflix won't care. They straight up said that DC is going to operate independently from the company. So it's like, what do you got? These people have no idea how these things work. It's like I
It's
don't understand these
always
people.
it's always just internet talk.
Yeah, it definitely is. And then as for, so what other questions do you guys have on for us for Superman and Wonder Woman? Because it's like the thing about like, yeah, I do think that I really want to like obviously I want better DC content, but I also feel like in the event that like it doesn't necessarily is the Hecate arc good from the Rucker run. Hecate arc is okay. It's not necessarily some of my favorite stuff, but it's okay. Let me put it that way. What do you think, Britt, of Hecate?
Well, you already know I don't care for Rucka's writing of Wonder Woman. It's
Yeah.
it's definitely okay. I mean, the thing about Rucka and the way he writes Diana, she's very out of touch and a little bit of a stick in the mud, kind of boring. Um, it just all depends on if you want a sort of dark, serious story and you care for the sort of conflict between um, Diana and Batman, and how it shows that Batman is sort of in the wrong, or or to humiliate Batman in a sense.
Okay, I'll give you that. And then Dave says, but if you could get a new Wonder Woman movie produced by Snyder right now, but the twist is it has to be an adaptation of Amazon's Attack, would you do it? Well, here's the thing. It's possible that an adaptation could be written better than the comics. You could do that. Although I here's why I don't want Amazon's Attack being adapted, in addition to it being a crappy story. I don't want like I really don't want any more stories that paint the Amazons as like savages or hostile to the outside world. We don't need that.
I mean, they can be hostile. It just has to be that it makes sense to what they went through.
All right, so let me clarify. I don't trust Hollywood to do that right.
Oh no, because the Amazons would definitely be villainized in the worst way possible.
Yeah, exactly. And then NJ, yes, I do believe that absolute Wonder Woman deserves a lot of the praise it gets. And yeah, we'll see how it goes how it goes later, and particularly how it goes after King leaves the main book. Now, what they could end up doing is have Kelly write both main Diana and absolute Diana. That would be interesting. There's Britt. There's Britt trying to go. Why?
I mean, she can keep, absolute Wonder Woman because that is her, even though she has influence by mainline, it is still her voice within absolute. Mainline is still a little bit different. And honestly, just want a new voice, period. Like, don't have a double writer. Just have someone that's unique, different, and new blood.
Yeah, and then Nate says, I mean, I know what I tell you for is awful, killing any chance of Gal Gadot films. Well, it didn't really kill it. It's just the reboot. That wasn't why Wonder Woman did not get a third film. Nate says, is there a writer you want after King? Jeremy Adams would be my first choice. He already has a Wonder Woman pitch in set. And you could go with Kelly if he didn't want to do that. The other one you could go with is Robert Venditti. He even did a good story in Black and Gold. Who else could you put on them? I show up, Britt. Who would you, after King, if you could have like any writer that's active now, who would you put on Wonder Woman?
I would say give Stephanie Phillips and Stephanie Williams a chance. Stephanie Williams will be doing issues 29 and 30, so we can see, kind of how she handles that. And Stephanie Phillips did Wonder Woman Evolution. She did have a good voice for Diana. I would say that the art kind of, kind of not ruined the story, but it was just a little off-putting. So definitely give her, a second chance with Wonder Woman. Charles Soule, of course.
Well, yeah, of course.
To bring him back.
And you know what? He said he would love to come back to DC.
Right. And then us, because honestly, I don't trust anyone else.
If DC asked us to take over Wonder Woman and fix her, we'd be like, oh, hell yeah, let's do it. And honestly, it's not that hard. Robert Kirkman, no one from Image. Trust me, you do not want the Image guys touching Wonder Woman.
Yeah, honestly, it's very a small pool of writers that you want to take over.
Yeah, because it's a small pool of people currently that actually understand Diana. But again, to Britt's point, again, if you could actually get Soule to come back and write Wonder Woman, yeah, that's when I'm like, yep. I think we're safe, Britt. I think we're safe.
Right. Another thing that actually about Wonder Woman, Absolute Wonder Woman 15 is the last, part, or maybe it was within the whole issue, is it basically felt like a setup for Diana or Bruce, or both, or whatever. Of course, they will be meeting other absolute characters. I think Scott said by the fall of next year, so I guess within the year, and then the full meetups or whatever will be over by that time, or he meant fall time. As this one, they will have meetings. I know the Flash writer has already said that there will be a meeting of sorts coming next year. So I would say that also Snyder said that Wonder Woman was like the nexus or the center, the connection for the absolute characters. So if she's traveling to meet them and the setup of, bringing up Superman, I would say that within the next year, uh, the next crossover, big crossover for Wonder Woman will probably be Superman.
And let's see how they write how they actually handle that, because that's gonna be pretty big. And NJ, you gotta like expand your horizons on writers, because Kelly here's the thing, NJ. What happens if Kelly doesn't want to write main Wonder Woman? Because that is very possible. So you might want to be prepared for that eventuality. Just saying. But as far as like, yeah, it would be like for me, it would be either top three are Adams, Kelly, and Sewell, if you can get Sewell to come back. But we didn't even know if he would come back. But what other questions do you guys have about Superman, Wonder Woman, anything you guys want to know? What makes you think that? Well, because typically some writers don't like. Now, again, it's not confirmed. It's not confirmed, but and it's not like I have any knowledge. It's just my thinking, NJ. All it is because some writers don't like to write the Elseworlds and the main line. Plus the fact DC may want to have the mainline Wonder Woman and the Elseworlds Wonder Woman be different. In other words. And I have like a different like voice, in other words. Hunter asks, there are rumors going around the internet we might get Wonder Woman casting announced. Yeah, exactly. And Britt and I talked about that earlier in the stream. But yeah, it's like it's either Wonder Woman or Maxima in our opinion. But we'll see what actually happens with that. Have you guys done 10 best Wonder Woman events? I have, but you know what, Britt? Top 10 Wonder Woman rogues. Go.
All right. So number 1 has to be Cersei. Number 2, I would say Silver Swan. Why? Because that is emotional trauma for Diana. Let me see. Number 3, Strife. Number 4, Hera. Number 5.
Is Hera really a villain, though?
She isn't a villain, but she is the scorned stepmother, which is already a villain, within reality. So that works.
I can give you that.
Let me see. Was that number 5? Let's see. Let me see.
If only there was a daughter of Darkseid character that exists.
She's honestly a little bit lower for me.
So, how about Sovereign?
Inhale.
And Matriarch.
Inhale.
Inhale. Jesus.
Let me see. Let me put Dr. Poison maybe in number 5.
That works.
And then let's see, Ares at number 6.
Okay.
Cheetah is number 7.
Did you already say Kale?
No. I would put, Kale will probably be 8. Let me see. I don't really, Giganta is just not like, she's an honorable mention for me.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm on number 9. Let's see. Maybe Queen Claire, maybe at number 9.
That's a good one.
And then let's see. I don't care for Angleman because that he just seems. Hmm. I'm gonna go out there and say, for my number 10 will be Superwoman because of the Sensation Comics issue
You
of
mean
Diana.
this? Because I got it for Christmas.
Really? Yes. So I think it was issue, I want to say it was in the 30s, or maybe it was 40 in the 40s. But basically, what it is a mirror between Diana, of course, and Superwoman,
Yeah.
and how she basically feels that she can overpower Diana because of the lasso of submission, and Diana, she sees Diana as weak, and how she is yes,
And
and
the
how
other part of this is that Superwoman is pregnant, so she thinks Diana won't go all out to defeat her because she's afraid she'll harm the baby.
Diana does not care about that demon spawn. Um, so within that story, you know, Superwoman is trying to antagonize Diana, talking about her relationship with Cal, and how Diana is basically this innocent, but naive, um, misguided, like puppy or so for Cal, and how she, or she's a toy for him, and just really giving Diana a hard time. And we see Diana having that sass that is missing within the comics, current comics and things like that. And how just Diana has a little bit more respect for herself, and she, shoots back at Superwoman, and like she doesn't need to be submissive or have that dominance by being this sex pest in a way, that Superwoman is. So yeah, it's a very interesting dynamic. And again, honorable mention, I would say Giganta. Grail is a tie with Superwoman.
Okay, I'll give you that because they both are dark reflections of Diana, so I can see that. By the way, this trade not only does it include that issue, it also has the Day in Our Lives issue that you and I talked about.
Is it?
Yeah.
I really do like that issue. Because it showed that how Cal and Diana being best friends, and he understands her life and everything. So it can be easy, especially for them to talk about, being a reporter and an ambassador. I don't like how the writer kind of, he wanted to ease out of like saying that he sees them as, like the brother or sister thing, because no, that is never their relationship. But having that honorary type, Cal being accepted by the Amazons as a brother to them, in a sense, is very sweet.
I like that. By the way, so you want to see some comics I got for Christmas?
Of course.
You're gonna detect a theme. So I got the first trade of the Mesner Loeb's Wonder Woman. So I've always wanted to check out that run, so it was inevitable I was going to check it out. The next one is a book that I'm currently going over with Jim from Weird Science that is awesome, and I'm trying to get Britt to enjoy. Legend of Wonder Woman. Britt, I really think you ought to give this series another shot.
I will.
As a meme, the first trade of He Who Must Not Be Named Superman run.
Now, why did you get that?
As a joke, and mainly as an FU to Robert. Wonder Woman Black and Gold. I finally got this.
I think the only acceptable stories is like issue 1 and 2, maybe.
Yeah. Odyssey of the Amazons. It's one of my favorite stories. It's basically talking about like Hesha and some of the Amazons being in man's world and encountering like the Valkyries from like Viking times. It's really good. I got so DC Finest, The Legend of Wonder Woman. That includes like a lot of like that includes like the series that was the transition from pre-crisis DC to post-crisis Amazon. So we had that. I got Wonder Woman and the Justice League of America, which is the storyline where Wonder Woman led the league that had like Blue Beetle, Booster Gold, Bloodwind, who was later Martian Manhunter, Guy Gardner, and Maxima. So that was fun. And Britt, have you ever read the Kurt Busiek Trinity series?
I skimmed through it. It was something.
I think check this out. So obviously, I got the Sensation Comics. Then I got the Golden Age Wonder Woman Volume 1 Omnibus, which is all the Marston stuff.
Nice.
I figured out. Obviously, you can tell who my favorite superhero is. Isn't that funny? But so that's what I got. But besides that, yeah. So obviously I had a very Wonder Woman filled Christmas. Britt, how was your holiday?
It was okay. I don't know about the weather and why it is like weirdly cold and hot at the same time. So you don't know whether to wear shorts or a jacket.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
As far as gifts, I finally was able to like get new headphones. This will be like
Really?
my third pair. So hopefully, Apple is kind and these are a better pair. Yeah, so you say really, I'm trying, but technology is not always our friend, and especially, Apple. It's terrible.
Exactly. NJ asks, will we see an inevitable return of Hippolyta in 2026? Britt, do you think they'll ever undo Hippolyta being a goddess?
Well, honestly, there's no purpose for her to be a goddess. I know Mary Marvel having her powers and everything, but she's not even a relevant character right now. And I would think that they will probably bring Hippolyta back for the JSA if they are to. Yes, they're doing a flashback in the book, but I think present day they will probably do something. And it is Wonder Woman's 85th anniversary next year in October. And also, if it is that we are having the official Wonder Woman casting, I would think that they would bring back Hippolyta if she is to be in the Wonder Woman movie.
I would say that would work. What's your favorite top 3 favorite Wonder Woman Elseworld stories? League of One, Absolute. And I would have to say definitely not Earth One, that's for sure. I would have to say what's another good Elseworlds Wonder Woman story? Probably. Let me see here. Let's see. See, the thing is, there's not a lot of like really big like I guess Dead Earth. What about you, Britt?
I don't think League of One was canon, right?
I thought that was Elseworlds.
Okay, so if that's Elseworlds, then League of One, Spirit of Truth, and Immortal Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah, Immortal Wonder Woman does count. Oh my gosh, yes, that does count. Okay, I'm swapping out Dead Earth for Future State for Immortal Wonder Woman. Oh, so the thing is, League of One is an out of continuity story. It counts.
Okay.
So there you
So
go.
yeah.
That counts. And then Hunter says, who is your top 3 casting for Wonder Woman? Probably. Yeah, you're about to start a civil war there, Hunter.
I do not have one. I honestly, it's more so of the idea of who, how can I say it? Sort of like if she is to be a POC, um, she can have an accent, and it's more so of the embodiment of not just, as I said, the warrior thing that they describe, but also the ambassador of peace. You know, it's not so much as a specific actress, because even if you have this sort of image idea of an actress, she, not all the time will she embody Diana as who she is supposed to be.
Yeah, with me, it's like if she can play the character, that's fine. I'm not really that big of a thing as it applies to who is going to be a good like Elseworlds for that.
And yeah, and so far, even with the fan cast that I see, none of them really like grab you as to say, yes, this is Diana. It's really, they look at the actors just for the outside appearance and not, as I said, the embodiment and the character, how she speaks, her mannerisms and things like that. The actress has to nail Diana's mannerisms and nail the balance of the warrior and the ambassador.
Exactly. Hunter, Nate asked, "What does Wonder Woman represent as a character?" Well, let's see, what's the word? Truth for one thing, and that makes her the most important DC character in my opinion. But mainly like really truth, hope, and optimism, all the above. Really, what do you think?
Of course, feminism, female empowerment, and equality. Um, as you said, truth and love. Um, she represents also humanity.
Okay, that works. Jason Momoa's girlfriend and Sarah Pearson and Brian O'Connor. I okay. Here's the thing, Hunter. I'm going to ask you why beyond like their appearances.
Okay, we can break down those. Let's say so. Um, I think Audria is her name.
Mm-hmm.
First, she's short, so she does not match the depiction, the requirement
Mm-hmm.
for that. And I would say that even though she is Gunn's friend and Moa's girlfriend, I don't like the cat nepo casting. I don't like that, because again, she has to truly embody the character, not just in a physical outer appearance, and that's just lazy to me. You know, Sarah, she does not embody Diana at all. Like, I know that she became a popular fan cast because of like a an edit or so, or some type of superficial type thing, but no, she does not truly embody who Diana is, and um is very much a fan push, you know, and like I said, trying to gaslight others into believing that she has Diana's qualities and she doesn't. Um, is it now the other actress? I don't know who that is.
Wait. Brian O'Connor?
Or do you
Um.
mean Katie O'Brien?
Oh, if you're talking about Katie O'Brien, no, she's
She's
a
for
horrible actress.
yeah, definitely not.
Sydney Sweeney for all female characters. God damn it, Dave. We know there's one reason. There are two reasons why Dave put that as a joke. But yeah, it's like again, it's like Britt and I never really jump in on that like fan casting thing because fan castings 99% of the times are horrible, and it's like that they're just going off of like superficial stuff or what they have seen them in, and like, oh, they could definitely play Diana. And I go, that doesn't always work like that.
It's kind of like that Odessa actress. First of all, she's like 5'4", very short. And because she put on a black curly wig and got a tan, they was like, oh, she looks like Diana. The look is, she really does not look like Diana, you know? But you're trying to pass off that, I guess, again, because of the curly black wig.
Mm-hmm.
But again, her mannerisms and the way, she talks and her voice tone, how she articulate things is not Diana at all. I really don't understand why fans go off of appearances alone, instead of the personality. And when David was cast, or even he was a fan cast, but you see in his work how he did sort of embody Clark Kent, and even though his look was very skinny, and everything like that, but he still had that mannerism of Clark, and that's what you need for Diana too.
Yeah, exactly. You definitely need that. Um, and Nate says, me personally, I think Wonder Woman represents strength, loyalty, and being a guardian. Yeah, you could do that 100%. Oh, those are all of the things that Diana represents. And NJ says, you made my day, Britt, regarding your Hippolyta comment. Yeah, exactly. That's all good. But will DC do it? We'll see, but I still need to see more before I think DC is going to like do that.
Aw, I'm glad to have made your day. Um, the thing is, DC overall needs to definitely get their shit together, but it and I guess in a sense understand, what is healthier for the individual characters and especially Diana. As I said, just this overall thing with Trinity, and obviously they know that she isn't liked, whether it is vocally being on social media, specifically the Bird app, or it's the fact that sales are telling you that fans aren't caring for, this storyline. They definitely need an overhaul and just to rethink that you can't just put, any writer on a certain book or a character. You have to have people who actually care for the character first. It's not just using Diana as a vehicle for Detective Chimp or the Super Sons. It has to be a story that evolves, Diana as a character and her story. And honestly, Trinity has regressed Wonder Woman back, you know, 20, 30 years. And it's worse, I would say, than the Bronze Age when Diana was kind of like crying over Steve and um, acting like she was chasing or pining after him, that sort of turnaround. And then you had Perez build up this respectful dynamic of, yeah, he was an old man. And he was also spiritually and technically her blood brother too. Um, but the overall point was that it was a respectful dynamic, and Diana was very independent. Yes, her love interest or whatever was supposed to be Superman, but at the same time, that did not take away from her story at all. He was definitely just a support, kind of background for her, but she still got the development that she needed, and that is why Perez will always be regarded as the golden standard for Wonder Woman. I don't see Greg Rucka, neither one of his runs as that. It feels like because he goes into that dark depiction of Diana, he does bait fans in certain ways, that he is regarded as some popular fan fave. But honestly, when you really analyze his work, it's very mean spirited, and he really just makes Diana out of touch, and she doesn't resonate.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Before BVS, no one expected a supporting actress from Fast and the Furious to be Wonder Woman. I don't recall her even being fan casted. No, she wasn't, and that was the biggest surprise because everyone's like, "Really, the Fast and the Furious girl?" And then Gal shows up in BVS,
And that is why we need an unknown actress. David was relatively unknown. Um, um, the Brainiac actor that was just cast, he is relatively unknown. And honestly, that is what we need more of. We need newer actors. Um, as I said, Audria, however you pronounce her name,
or
she,
Jorna or something like that.
yeah, she's still unknown, but I would say that she did have like some sort of popularity boost. So, and sort of that expectation for her, and also just the fact that she is attached already a to Jason Momoa. I don't like that. And also her attachment to James Gunn being a friend of his and close and wanting to go out cheap. Wonder Woman doesn't deserve cheap. She deserves someone who, as I said, going to embody her, and someone who is, you can feel that earnest, within her, and the just that love for the character. So yeah, we definitely need someone unknown, but that can be the character.
Yeah, exactly. Nate says the Sovereign would be better if he were a god in disguise. Boom, just fix the run. No, you didn't, because you have to figure out a way to undo all of Diana's actions in the run. Because that's the other thing. It's not just the Sovereign. It's what Diana did in the run. That's the problem.
Well, what I would say with that, first, just do a rebirth route. And this, honestly, you know, with Rucka being mean spirited and doing the whole illusion thing for the new 52, that was unnecessary because you could easily like just transition or so from the way the gods were depicted. Actually, the gods weren't depicted any different really than the way he depicted the gods. Um, New 52 gods were a little bit more dysfunctional, but they were down to earth, kind of like a very dysfunctional, weird family, like, you know, and they were depicted as a little bit more quote unquote human too. So what I would do is first, Sovereign ends up being the Duke of Deception. And second, I would say that because you had the lasso of lies, that Diana must have been in prison and wrapped in within the lasso of lies. Because just for this one time, you do have the scapegoat of Diana's weakness, that she, when she is bound or tied up or something by a man or something like that, you know, that is one weakness. Well, have her bound and tied by the lasso of lies, and she was basically in an illusion to think that Trinity and everything else was real.
Well, for me, what I would do is make it so Cersei made a fake Diana construct.
That is your thing for Injustice.
It explains everything.
I mean, it does, but I'm still going on the lasso of lies.
You could also do that too. I want to be very clear on that. That one also works. But I was saying, if they didn't want to necessarily get like straight up, like say the whole thing was a lie, you could just say, oh no, Diana was just that was just a fake Diana the whole time. That would explain why she acts out of continuity, out of character.
I mean, this is the moment where you want to say this is a whole lie.
Well, yeah, exactly. This is the moment that Rucker run would be able to redeem. Anyway, the Brainiac actor is a known character actor in Germany, but not so much here. Kind of like Hugh Jackman in Australia before the X-Men situation. Yeah, so it's like he must have put in if he's a character actor, that also explains why he did such a good like Brainiac audition. So it's going to be interesting to see what he brings to the character, in other words. But so what other questions do you guys have, or we'll start wrapping up? Any questions that you guys have for me or Britt regarding Superman, Wonder Woman? It could even be questions on if Britt will ever how DC will be redeemed in Britt's eyes.
When hell freezes over.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I bet. Okay, so okay, Britt. Well, how would that happen? Like let's say that now give me steps on what DC would have to do.
DC would have to give respect to Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah.
They already felt that, so there's nothing else to say.
That's so good. How do you feel about Lanterns so far? I need to see a lot more before I really have an informed opinion on Lanterns. Okay, so how many more issues do we have to suffer because I can't take another year, so I can't? In all likelihood, again, with Wonder War being 8 issues and King saying that like he's transitioning to Hollywood, I would say most likely 8 more issues of his writing of Wonder Woman.
I forgot. It's actually he's supposed to be doing the Wonder Woman black and gold special.
Yeah, but that's not just him. It's other writers doing it. So I don't necessarily. I'm talking about his specific run.
But it's still the fact that he's still writing Wonder Woman is like, seriously.
Well, yeah, but again, that would be like a short story in a thing. I'm talking about his specific run. most likely 8 issues from 31 to 40, I would say. So I would say with all of the things combined, I'd say there's like a 60 to 70% chance he leaves at issue 40. What do you think?
It's definitely a 60-40.
Yeah, I would say somewhere in there is what I would say. Who else do you think will show up in Mans tomorrow? What are your thoughts on Captain Adam showing up in Creature Commandos? Okay, it's like Captain Adam showing up in Creature Commandos makes sense. And as far as like Man of Tomorrow, what other characters? I'd say anyone in Justice League International is likely to show up. I could see Lobo showing up because it is dealing with space and stuff, so that could be really fun. And Damon Lindelof is the showrunner, and he's as bad as Tom King. Yeah, he's responsible for the awful Watchmen show and helped ruin Star Trek, and he's one of the people responsible for the horrible ending of the show Lost. So that's not good. And is there an aspect of Wonder Woman you hate in terms of design? Okay, Britt, go.
No, I just don't like when it's more so of the fans thinking that she's supposed to be like 8 feet tall.
Yeah, or like absurdly jacked.
Exactly. That is the only thing that's kind of that I hate, but it's not so much as her design. Like she can be tall as influenced by Darwin Cook, you know, but that over exaggeration I don't care for.
Yeah, exactly. It's like she can definitely be like taller than like your average person. I mean, she is an Amazon. However, I think fans definitely go way too far with like all that stuff, Britt.
Also, her being pale as a ghost, she is from an island, a tropical island. She is supposed to have some type of melanin, you know.
Well, yeah, especially majorly in the Mediterranean. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
sorry. Sorry, no. But I think that's a good place to leave it. This was a fantastic episode. Thank you for a fantastic 2025 of watching Britt and I rant. Britt, do you want to tease the audience not only of the stories you have going, but also the episode for next week?
Okay, so what was that? Oh, it is for us to talk about Clark and Diana meeting in high school. And it is an inspiration of DC superhero girls, or I think they were to have um a live action show or an animated show called DC High or something like that.
Something like that. It was either that or I think Batman was supposed to have that.
Yeah. But yeah, and we are basically dismantling the whole superficial notion of Clark and Diana being the quarterback and the cheerleader.
Yeah, exactly. That should be dismantled very easily. But so what stories do you want to tease us with?
So I've uploaded one one shot, and I will be uploading another tomorrow. Um and then finishing up chapter 3 of chapter 4 of Shelter, which I
Yay.
am going to definitely be pulling out a lot of emotion there. And it is somewhat of an end of the year type thing and going within, the holidays. So going back, of course, during Thanksgiving, Christmas, and the New Year. So that will be fun, but also emotional for Diana. And it's pretty much a reflection of, how the months for her has drastically changed from her going through depression to having that relief because she has her best friend with her. And then, of course, chapter 3 of Odyssey, which is Hunter, a little bit more Hunter centric, with being with the Amazons. A lot of times, Wonder Woman fans don't really like the idea of Diana having a son. And so with Hunter, we are exploring how that can be a benefit to her, and it can give a very insightful perspective, and especially with Hunter being partially raised by the Amazons and how they influence him, and just that it's not a misguided concept at all. It's just the fact of the execution.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then tomorrow, you guys will see me talking about my recommended Wonder Woman reading. So I'll be about 3:30. And then movie night, we're going to be talking about Craven. And yeah, so we will see you guys there. Stay heroic, everyone. Remember, Lois Lane is Lois Lane. She belongs to General Zub or Satan, whichever one works, whichever one comes first. Zoe is the Max Bet for life. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.